Hello everybody, it's Joe here, and today I'm going to be talking about some language, some labels, some slurs, blah blah blah. I'm going to leave the slurs to the end, so that if you don't want to hear me talking about slurs, you don't have to listen, and you can just watch the first part of the video. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, labels. A lot of cis people will be like, why do you need so many labels? A lot of straight people, like cisheads, will also be like, why do you need so many labels? A lot of ignorant people just in general kind of go like, why do you need so many labels? And labels are important. I find labels to be really important. For example, having the word cis is important. Some people don't see it as important, but I do, because what's the alternative? When you're talking about the difference between trans people and cis people, if you don't use the word cis, what you end up with is stuff like trans people and normal people. That's not... Because I'm normal. My family is normal. I have a normal life. I am no more different than anyone else. There are cis people that I know who have more interesting and abnormal lives than I do. Just because I'm trans doesn't mean I am not normal. It just means I'm slightly different. See, statistically speaking, of course, I'm not normal. I'm an outlier. Trans people are only like 1% of people. So yeah, when it comes to statistics, I'm not normal. But when it comes to just living my life, I'm pretty fucking normal. And there shouldn't be... We shouldn't call cis people normal just because they're the most common, because that makes trans people feel like they're not normal. And trans people are totally normal, and it's totally okay to be trans. By calling cis people normal and trans people trans, what you get is you're othering the trans people. The trans people deserve to be normal too. I think that the word cis is really important. It's the same reason that we have straight and gay. So you don't say gay people and normal people. Like nowadays, if you say gay people and normal people, people would absolutely light on you. Because that's not cool. And people know that's not cool. So it's the same situation with cis and trans. You need to have a word for the norm, even if it is the norm. You have to have a word for it to make it less norm. Also, there's people who are like, why do you need so many labels? In terms of like having loads of different words to describe loads of different identities. But labels make a lot of people a lot more comfortable with themselves. Like, I know people who have been horribly uncomfortable with labels all of their life because they never found one that suited them, until eventually they found one label that really captured how they felt. And then it's like, yeah, okay, I get this. I've seen situations where people like don't know who they are and don't know what's going on with them, and it's really affecting them, and then they find a label that suits them and it makes them so much happier. Granted, not everybody likes labels. Some people are totally fine with just floating through life doing their own thing and not needing labels. I get it. But that's not me. I'm a straight trans guy. Granted, my labels are really easy and really simple to understand. I'm straight, I'm trans, and I'm a guy. Really simple labels. Everyone's gonna get that. But even if you have like a really complicated long label for your identity that not many people are going to understand at first read through, that doesn't mean that your label isn't important, because your label helps like explain who you are, and it helps to make you more comfortable with yourself. And labels are something that everybody should be allowed to embrace. Labels make us happier as people, and not only does it make people more comfortable, it also allows people to find people with stuff in common with them. Like, if I didn't have a label for who I was, if I didn't know that the word for being trans was trans, I wouldn't have as many trans friends, because I wouldn't have been able to find them in the same way that I have via being able to Google the word trans, you know? Having labels is super cool and super helpful and super important, and labels should be embraced because they're cool. You don't have to have them, but they're helpful. So now we're moving on to the slurs. So if you want to leave now, you can, because I'm going to be saying some words that some people might not be comfortable with hearing. So I understand if you click off this video right now, that's okay, fine by me. Trigger warning over, let's begin. So, if you are on Tumblr, you've probably heard of the concept of reclaiming slurs. If you're not on Tumblr, you might have heard of the concept of reclaiming slurs. Tumblr is how I heard of it, so that's why I'm saying Tumblr. But reclaiming a slur is when a harmful word, a slur, is used against a group of people, And that group of people starts using that word to empower themselves and to describe themselves and to bring themselves up, you know? To be like, huh, we're so cool, you know? And to empower themselves because they've been put down so much by this other group of people. For example, stuff like black people using the N-word. It's empowerment. It's cool. I support you. Or people who have disabilities using words like, okay, I can't think of a way to censor them because I don't want to say them. Like people saying the or slur. Stuff like that. To empower themselves. To make themselves feel good. I think that's totally cool. And I support everyone's right to reclaim slurs that are used against them. But the problem arises when people who can't reclaim the slurs start reclaiming the slurs. For example, if you've ever watched RuPaul's Drag Race, you've probably heard a cis man say the word tranny. I'm not cool with that at all. That's not okay. Because you see a bunch of cis drag queens throwing around transphobic slurs like tranny and she-male and making jokes about it as if these words aren't being used to hurt people every fucking day. How? Why? What the hell? You know? Like, you can't just use these words and act as if their history and their usage doesn't exist. Because it does. Like, these words are being used to hurt people. You can't get around that. They are. They just are. So it's not cool for you to go around making jokes with them. Making jokes out of people and their lives. And it also perpetuates this idea that being a drag queen is the same as being trans. Like, no. Trans women aren't just men in dresses. Trans women are women. Drag is just being a man in a dress. It's not the same thing at all. I don't get it. Okay. But then you get another layer of it, whereby trans men start using the word tranny to describe themselves. And start using the word she-male to describe themselves. And I'm not really cool with that either. Because in reality, tranny and she-male are used towards trans women. And while, yeah, you will definitely be able to find trans men who've had the words used against them, like, when it comes to slurs, like, there are straight people who've been called faggots. That doesn't mean they get to call themselves faggots. We understand that. We all get that, you know? So just because a trans man gets called a tranny doesn't mean that he has a right to call himself a tranny. It's still a transmisogynistic slur rather than just a wide-range transphobic slur. In the same way that faggot is a homophobic slur, not a slur for anyone who gets called it, you know? It's not cool that people get called it, but it doesn't mean they have a right to reclaim it when it's not theirs, you know? Slurs, man. They're complicated. Slurs. But anyway, if you like this video, please click down here. If you have an opinion about slurs and labels and stuff, you should totally plonk it down in the comments below. And you should totally subscribe to my channel over here and check out some more of my videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.